Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Nobody, and I'm bringing you a short book review, and it might be an unusual pick for me, but I want to talk about the New York Times bestseller, The Care and Keeping of You, #1. And I also have #2, but I'm not going to bother talking about that right now. Um, Celebrating 20 years, more than film, more 4 million copies sold. So this is already a successful book. I had never heard of it. It's actually put out by American Girl, the doll makers, who, if you don't know, the stories behind their girls was a big part of how their whole system worked, and all of their dolls came with like books, and a bunch of their dolls were set in certain historical periods, and you would read the books and find out the whole backstory of your doll, which is a fun concept. Anyway, my daughter is turning 11, so she is going into that particular time period where things are changing for her. She's experiencing a lot of changes. The girls around her are experiencing lots of changes, and she's noticed it. She's noticed even just this year. It's like, oh, things are different. People are behaving differently. People are looking a little differently. And so she's having to cross some of those bridges, that come with growing up, going through puberty, all of those sorts of things. Now, of course, as a parent, you talk to your kid about all of these things that are in this book. This is basically treating yourself like a subject, like you're someone to take care of. So you've got your contents in here, you got your body basics, hairies, mouth, nose, face, acne, sun scents, take care of your skin, reach, hands, underarms, breast bras, body talk, food, nutrition, shapes and sizes, changes. That's the puberty area that talks about periods and other things to do with that. This is for girls who are just starting to go into that. It's more of a tween book. So maybe 10 to 12 sort of range, 10 to 13, it depends. I think it's great if you have like a late elementary age girl, like a 5th grader or something like that. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, somewhere in there. And then on the go, legs, feet, fitness, sports safety, rest, feelings, so really great. The thing that I like about this book, it's nice, it's cute. If you're like, I don't want too much detail about stuff, like it's very circumspect about what it talks and what it doesn't talk about. So it's not there to like take the place of a parent. It's there to just be incredibly practical and sort of shoot down the middle and be kind of common sense and just be like, hey, eating something you do, here's how to just be smart about it. Here's what nutrition is. Hey, you may notice that you start needing deodorant. Hey, you may start noticing that you're growing hair there. Here's what you can do about it. Here are the options. Hey, you're going to run around in the sun. It's good to have stuff. This is all common sense stuff and things that you would, as a parent, of course, you cover and you're always doing for your children. Now, the reason that I do like this book, though, is I think it's good to give your own child a stake in the things that they're doing and give them opportunities to explore subjects on themselves, for themselves. So it's like, yeah, you can talk to your kid, you can tell them all sorts of things. They're going to get all sorts of information on different things just by absorbing it from you and from the wider culture, from friends, from siblings, from other people at school. They're going to pick up all sorts of these things and opinions. But it's nice to have something that they can just be like self-directed. So I didn't talk about it a lot. I just one day was like, you're starting to go through puberty. So I just picked up this book and I just said, hey, here's a book. And I gave it to you. And she had a great time. She sat down, she read the whole book cover to cover. And then she like read it through again the next day. And then she read it through like again the next day. And it was good because we were sitting around and she was reading it and she was like, And then she wanted to kind of just talk about the stuff she was reading and allowed us in a very casual and relaxed way to talk about some of these subjects that were coming up. So, for example, she's been having development in the chest area, and she, was just reading about that section in here and is like, oh, yeah, look, here's sort of the different stages and different, names of things. And she was just casually able to just be like, oh, look at this, Dad. And I'd be like, yeah, and we could just talk about it in a nice, relaxed way. So it was a wonderful way for her to just jump into some of these things and even look at some of the things that it's like, yeah, I've been trying to get you to brush your teeth properly and brush your hair properly for years. We don't want cavities, you don't want snarls in your hair. And it's like, yeah, I've told her that. I've helped her with that. She does those things. But it's also nice just to have your own book that you read through that gives you some tips and talks about it independently, like independently from your parents. And so this is a friend who can talk to your kids for you on your behalf, but doesn't have to be you doing it, because sometimes, especially when they reach a certain age, your kids like to feel like they're finding and learning about things on their own and not just getting it from you. And because it's just a book, they can take it and leave it and think about it. And they also have some nice little discussions in here, which were actually very fruitful for me and my daughter talking about afterwards, where body talk. And this is where they have things that some girls have said about concerns about one thing or another, and then just some nice little things back to it. So freckles, and so you have this person, I hate freckles, I hate them, I wish I could get some lotion that would get rid of them, make it go away, I need help. So it gets this written in, and then just a nice reasonable response that says, hey, there's no magic lotion to do that, like freckles and smiles are cute, but actually takes it both ways. It says, well, freckles can be a sign of sun damage, so if you don't want to end up with lots of freckles, you don't want the sun damage, well, there is something you can do. You can just, put on sunscreen, wear a hat. But try to think of your freckles as a special feature. That doesn't mean if you want to manage them, you can't. And I like that sort of balanced approach to things, like pimples, they're very reasonable and are just like, yeah, this happens to everybody. Hey, it's okay. And they're annoying, but they'll get better. And so it takes that dual approach of just saying, hey, this is part of life. We deal with it. Most people have to struggle with it. But at the same time, it's also going to say, well, that doesn't mean you don't want to or can't do anything about it, especially if, like, don't do things that'll cause scarring, don't do things that'll cause infections. Here's the things you can do. Keep yourself clean. Here's, very practical. So it manages to straddle both sides of that line of having a good attitude and also what are the things you can practically do. But these little questions in here were actually very nice, and my daughter really appreciated them because it gives a voice to the feelings and thoughts that girls have. And then that made it very easy because someone else had said it for my daughter to then talk about those things with me. So I actually think this is a good book. Definitely worth picking up if you got a girl who's coming up toward puberty, starting to hit that time. It's an exciting time. It has been definitely creating some excitement and some eagerness, and also some tears and some sorrow and frustration, all kinds of things. It's an interesting and exciting time in our house, and it's always good to have little things around that help out. Thanks, and that's all for today.